Hey, folks, welcome back to Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. We got with us today our special guest. This way,
Over here.
this way, this
Over
way.
here. Huh?
Everything backwards. Pete, the roaming prepper.
What's
Um,
up?
I'm so glad to have you, Pete, man. We talk all the time, and it's
I
nice to
know.
finally have you on here and get to chat with you and the subscribers, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
No, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, we've been griping about the world's problems for months now at
Yes,
this
sir.
point.
Yes, sir.
But
And we have a very similar way of thinking about things, but you bring some different perspectives to life sometimes that I don't think about. And that's why I love watching all these different channels, is because I get
oh yeah,
different points of view from guys like you, from the Angry Prepper, all these guys, man. There's a lot of great channels out there, and yours is one of my favorites. So I'm really happy to have
I
you on, Pete.
appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm always thrilled when I actually catch your lives because my work schedule is so screwed up most of the time. And I just enjoyed chatting with you. I love Jason's, man. He's been on a tear lately.
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
But what's neat with all the channels is we're all over the country, we're all over the world, really, and everyone's seeing different stuff. But if you watch them long enough, you see common veins running through all our channels. We're all seeing certain things the same, and those are the things that folks really need to, if they can pick those out, like the food we were talking about before the show,
yeah.
stuff like that. You start picking up on that through the channels, and that then okay, that's got to be a focus area.
Yeah, or you can almost see it coming towards your
Yeah.
area, through
Hmm.
the different people in the streams. If somebody sees something, they say something, and it just kind of snowballs through, and it's like different areas can help each other out.
Yeah.
I think that's a big benefit to following a lot of these channels, is that it's really easy to find what you need if you have to, because somebody will tell you, hey, we've got what you're looking for here, come on down.
Yeah. And
So
you tend to see patterns if you watch enough folks, and you watch the news. I did a on another platform, I did a video, and someone was like, and I mentioned I saw this one story in five different media outlets, right? And the person said, "Oh, well, you mentioned Fox. You lost me." I said, "Well, I mentioned CNN, BBC, ABC, Reuters.
yeah, you got to look everywhere.
Like, if you're so close-minded, it's like, oh, I don't like those guys. So then, just go
You,
away. Like, why
you
are you
might you might
following it?"
you might as well give up.
That's
And
like,
that's
I'm
that's
only
something
going
that
to
I try
stock
to do
tuna.
too. Is get I even listen to like NPR radio from time to time,
Oh yeah,
just to get a feel, man. Because I don't, as much as I hear a lot of the same stuff, I hate to be in an echo chamber. Um,
yeah.
because if I don't know how the other side feels, I try to empathize with everybody, but some of this shit, man, is just a little far out for me anymore. So
It is, and I mean, it's good because I would think, whether you're left, right, whatever. Look, you got people you love. You got to feed them. Um, you try to pay your bills. I mean, there's certain common denominators that folks need to be kind of focused on. Hell, I know some people who are legit hippies, like they went to Woodstock,
yeah,
like back in before when we were puppies, and they went to Woodstock,
Probably
and
clicked
um
it.
and and you would think, and they're the types, they're like, oh, eat organic, grow your own, uh can raise your own chickens. Like, you would think that would be a common denominator between different groups. uh yeah, no, you're spot on, man. Everybody's got a different window into what's happening.
yep, yep, and
So can we? So the roaming prepper, like, kind of like should be like, it's what's your gist? I was so interested to hear what you have to say because you're a guy who's always on the move. Like, I don't mean to say you
And
don't have a home base, but let's assume like that is like that. Like, it's what I was hoping to get. A really, to me, unique perspective. Because so many of us are about bugging out. Like you put the out in bug out.
Yeah, yeah, thanks. It's you know, God, my last gig, same company, I did 40,000 miles in my own vehicle in 1 year.
That's a lot.
And that's not including 9 flights, and the rental cars therein, uh, hotel rooms constantly. And, you know, at a point I was still in the guard. So like I'd come back. I actually went to AT and on the way back had a conference. So I actually packed all my gear and slacks and a shirt. Right. And then I like left the base. I drove to another city, went to the hotel, changed, threw all my uniforms in the laundry and showed up at a meeting. And it's just when you move around a lot, this house we're in now is house number 8 for us.
Holy cow.
So yeah, we just got here like just before the Rona hit, end of 2019.
Wow.
And this is a completely different environment than anything I lived on in the East Coast or on the Gulf Coast. So every time I change, it's like a little evolution goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you've seen a lot of the country too, you know, from you were up here by me in Syracuse and you know, the Gulf Coast all the way down through Texas. It's vastly different, vastly different. I mean,
Yeah.
even down to the bugs that you have to worry about. That's a
Oh,
big
yeah.
thing.
You know, even in like Texas in Houston, because we lived out just outside of Houston, you had water moccasins, which is it's a poisonous snake, but it's a cottonmouth really. Um, but here you have rattlesnakes, and
Yeah.
down there you had possums and raccoons, kind of stuff you'd see up in the Hudson Valley, up in the Adirondacks,
Yep.
Appalachia. Here, my cat brought me a tarantula. I swear was this big, like it was as big as my
Oh man.
face. And
Yeah.
the
None
cat
for me,
killed the
thanks.
shit out of it, and then brought it to me. And he just dropped it in the front door. I opened it and opened the door, and like my wife took off. She's like, "Nope," and she's gone.
Yeah.
And I had to collect that thing. And I've never seen a tarantula that size in desert camo.
Yeah.
I,
Yeah. That's pretty freaky.
oh yeah.
That's pretty freaky.
So yeah, it's always you always learn something. Just
Yeah.
go into new
That's
places.
man, you got to adapt pretty quick when it comes to, you know, stuff like that. I'm glad I haven't had to deal with that. I'm glad I
But
haven't
it
had
is
to.
fun. I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah,
an
keeps you on
aspect
your
that's
toes.
just cool, you know?
So if we can't what's complaining about my voice? I keep trying to tell them it just sounds like that, and I don't know what the fuck they don't understand.
The Livingston.
Ask him
Livingston man whispers.
what are his essential travel items. He's not leaving home for wherever he is. What's he always got?
Yeah. So Livingston man wants to know, what are your essential travel items?
Oh wow. Okay.
What's something that you never leave the house without?
So in my bag, like in my truck, whenever I go, and I've gotten into this habit, it's evolved a bit. So in my truck, I actually have a first aid kit and a tourniquet in the console on the door. That goes with me everywhere. In the other console, I have an F-150. So in the center console, I actually have little, you know, the food prep boxes, the little black ones with the clear case.
Yep.
I have one with meds. I have one with connections, miscellaneous stuff. I have one with binoculars because I've actually had to go to remote locations and I could see where I needed to be, but I couldn't see the road to get there. So I'd get on my truck with binoculars in the middle of Texas and I'm like trying to look down the hill.
Too much so we can get some content.
What do you do? What do you do for work now, Pete?
So I'm an engineer in the energy sector. So
Excellent.
half my time, about 2/3 of my time I'll spend now with this position. It's not a national one. The last one I had was a national one, and that was fun, but it gets crazy. This one's more regional. And, you know, about 2/3 of my time, I'm either in an office or in facilities somewhere.
Right.
And then there's about a third, maybe a quarter, where I'm going to be out somewhere in a remote location either talking to colleagues or business partners, clients, whatever, trying to make sure operations are running smoothly, logistics go where they need to go, stuff like that. But at one point, I was on the road so much, I actually installed a CB in my truck so I could listen to the truckers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, have some commonality, I guess, and
that
and a,
comes in
and a good
handy.
way to communicate.
Well, I would leave it. There's certain channels they'll just like BS channels. They just yap on with each other,
Yep.
and I would leave it on one of those channels, and I could hear the oncoming trucks in the other lanes saying, "Hey, did you see that accident?" And I would immediately know there was something ahead of me.
Oh, nice.
And just to have that situational awareness of what's going on, and you could hear these guys saying, "Hey, there's a cop over here. There's a wreck over there." And it
Yeah,
kind of
give you
gave
a
you a
little
heads
heads up.
up. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I swing a hammer, man. I'm all over the valley here, so it's a lot of the same places, the same things every day. So I get very accustomed to seeing things that, if anything's out of place, I kind of pick up on it.
You'll notice it.
Yeah, because I travel the same routes. And something we were talking about earlier, with noticing things and picking up on things, is the crazies we were talking about and how people have seemed to have just lost it recently.
Yeah.
The Livingston Man's theory is the solar flares are affecting everybody, and it's sketching out your all those little electrodes in your brain. They're firing overtime and making you just want to hate everybody. So
It makes my voice sound funny.
You never know. I mean, you figure, like I said before, people are made of water. Like we're what, 80% water? I don't know what the
Yeah,
percentage is. Um, our entire neural system is based on electrical signals between nerves. I mean, who's to say that wouldn't affect you? I think a lot of it is also just people being compressed, you know? I mean, if you watch the news, uh, it's just a steady stream of bad shit
it really
lately.
is.
And and then, of course, Will Smith smacking Chris Rock. That made my week. I was like, that's awesome. I don't know if it's real or not, but that was awesome.
Something it almost seemed like it was timed perfectly to break up the, I don't know, kind of the Ukraine craze that was going on at the time. And
Yeah.
the Livingston Man said that Will Smith slapped the Ukraine out of everybody's mouth is what happened.
That's a really good way to put it, man. But it's true. But then we weren't paying attention to things like, the ATF can now recruit local law enforcement to enforce certain things, which technically, I guess they always could have. They're
Right.
trying to expand the Affordable Care Act, but they're not explaining how they're going to fund the expansion. It's like everyone started watching these numbskulls in LA, and we're watching Ukraine, and then people are doing bad shit somewhere over here, and people
Exactly.
aren't watching that.
Yeah. New York
I mean,
State just cut like $800 million from the what was it, family services, children and family services, $800 million cut, but they're going to give $850 million to build a new Buffalo Bills stadium. How about that?
are you serious?
Yeah, that's welcome to New Yorkistan. That's the
I
funny
mean,
thing is that Buffalo, New York is the new governor select, Kathy Hochul, because nobody elected her. She was appointed after Cuomo stepped down because she was lieutenant governor. Um, you know, this is the Buffalo Billion 2.0. So this is twice they will have blown $1 billion in the city of Buffalo. Yeah, it just boggles my
what?
mind, man. It just boggles my mind.
New York politics.
Yeah.
And
It's
you've
Kathy's hometown. It's Kathy's hometown. She's from Buffalo. So
unbelievable. I mean, nothing against Buffalo. I love the Bills.
yeah,
They get beat up all the time, but they're a great team. I love watching them.
it was Jerry Jones, I think, who started it with the whole you give me money for my team, or we're just gonna take our team and leave your city. Um, So they really painted all these people in a corner, and when they come at you like that, you're going to lose the, millions and millions of dollars in revenue every year if you don't, agree to our demands. So
That
they literally just reach into their pockets and take the taxpayer money out and hand it to the big corporations. So it's
and you've
disheartening.
got I don't understand it. You got Binghamton, Syracuse, Schenectady, Albany, all dying on the vine. I mean, Albany, the only reason people know it's there is because the capital's there.
Yep. I drove
And
through what was it, Gloversville the other
yeah,
day. And it's like a wasteland, man. All the factories are crumbling, and it's a sad sight to see, because when maybe they only cut 800 jobs, but those 800 people packed their stuff up and went elsewhere for work.
Yeah.
So the community lost 800 people, but then the businesses lost the money from the 800 people, and they started to go under. And then there's a snowball effect that happens
absolutely.
when these corporations pack up and leave. And I think that's something that, as America, we really need to get back to that manufacturing, because without it, if the way things are going continues and we end up in a real World War III scenario,
Yeah.
the industrial machine that powered us through World War II no longer exists. So that's a scary thing to me.
It exists in China.
It does exist in China. Thank you, Livingston.
Well, and that's a whole nother issue. I mean, the Carrier Dome was named after Carrier Corporation, right? One of the biggest HVAC companies in the world at the time.
Yep.
I don't think I've seen a Carrier product in a house in
quite some time.
a decade. Yeah.
I have a carrier.
He has a Carrier air conditioner.
Oh, there you go. Respect, man.
But they're
it's
few and
sad.
far between.
Yeah.
Oh, Jay Creature says maybe the funds come from Remington. Too soon? No, I agree. They're stealing money from everybody, especially in the great state of New Yorkistan.
Is Kimber still up in New York? It was in Yonkers, wasn't it?
Yes, I'm not sure if they're still there. I think they might be moving to Connecticut, I think was last I heard.
Who moved recently?
Remington. Remington
It
actually.
was Remington.
Yeah, bankrupt, and then out they go.
They held him responsible for a mass shooting. And,
Yeah.
They sued the manufacturer for the actions of an individual, which set a dangerous precedent. I know my voice just sounds like that. Deal with it.
He's the Russian bot, remember? The Russian bot is here.
Some spot affects me a lot more than it does your normal people.
Burton says tax spam. Oh, man.
Tax spam.
I'll kick his ass.
This is why the Livingston man is not a moderator.
No filter, but that's okay.
That's
you
right.
need someone without a filter every now and
Yeah,
then.
let it go, man. Let it go.
But
I'm not monetized yet, so they can't. They can slap me a little bit, but they can't slap me too hard. And I'm not.
yeah,
afraid
I'm not either. So it's just like they just, I don't know what they do to us. They just, knock us offline every now and then. And
yeah. I'll be back tomorrow with a new channel. No problem.
Yeah. No kidding. We have backups, man. We got
right.
this.
That's right. I will be the thorn in YouTube's side for the rest of their days if they want to go that route. So let's not do that.
But that whole thing where they're just crushing, the old manufacturing, the old blue collar cities.
Yeah.
Well, you know where they're going? They're going to freaking Texas, Tennessee, Virginia, Oklahoma. They're just going away.
Yeah.
What's the common denominator?
Stupid politician. Wait, on which end? Them leaving or where they're going?
Where they're going? Why are they going? What's the thing that I'm thinking of a thing that all those states have in common?
Yeah, like freedom, brother. It's what it is. They allow businesses to function.
Correctly.
Even Elon Musk, when he came over, they asked Elon, and he's his own creature, right?
Yeah.
Our Texas reporter asked him, so, you moved from California because you felt Texas was a better place. He said, yeah, absolutely. And then she goes, but, California voted, this and that policy. And he said, well, I would hope the people I'm bringing have learned their lesson and know better. It just, he
That's
didn't
great.
even miss a beat.
Oh,
But no,
man.
Livingston, you're absolutely right, brother. It's people can own homes. It's cost of living. It's a whole different way of uh, running an economy, running a country, or running a country is its own country, but
Pretty much
running a
it's
state.
huge.
If this was
And
here, things would be country.
Yeah,
well,
very
even
true.
Florida, they go into. I'm seeing people go to like Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma has picked up quite a
Yep.
few folks.
So
They-
one thing I'm noticing is if people aren't afraid of the cold here, they will go to Maine or to New Hampshire. Those
I
are
can
like the
see that.
last two vestiges of freedom in the Northeast, really. New Hampshire, live free or die. I'm about it.
Yeah.
I'm about it. Um, but someday maybe I'll stay here and fight the good fight, man. I was born here, and
Oh
it's
yeah.
worth fighting for.
No, and you think about it, New York State has a lot to offer as a place, just in
It does.
general. I
It's a
mean,
beautiful state, is run by incompetent people.
that's a great way to put it, brother. That's absolutely a great way. I mean, you look the Appalachian Trails, the Hudson Valley,
Yep.
all these places. I used to love going up the Appalachian Trail with my buddies from school. We just,
Yeah.
grab bags and off we went. We'd be gone for 3 days. Um, we'd start at the Delaware Water Gap. Uh, I guess where you cross, was it 83 goes east west? I'm trying to remember. Where
What,
Jersey, Delaware, and New York meet.
Oh, what do they call it? The tri-state, not the tri-state border. That's New York, Connecticut, and Massachusetts.
I've never been farther south than Red Hook.
Livingston man's real
Might
local.
as well be Dixieland.
No, but New York State is gorgeous. From you get the Hudson River Valley, and then you get up into the
The
highlands there.
Palisades.
There's
Yeah,
so many different little biomes and ecosystems, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, yeah.
From the New York Harbor to the Mount Marcy. We got it all.
I went up Mount Marcy. I got a picture of me on top of Mount Marcy. I had hair then, but not on my face. It was on my head. It's
just
like
trade it off as we get older, right?
just brought
Yeah,
it
we just
down.
traded off. We traded off.
But the whole state gets blamed for the sins of the city, for one.
Yeah.
And the city's sins seem to bleed through the
Yeah,
whole rest of the state. Wherever they can reach to it, it's getting worse and worse in the state.
and if you've ever been to New York City and you've ever been to upstate New York, you realize that they are two vastly different places.
I grew up in New York City,
Yeah.
so I remember when I go upstate and everything was different. It was like a whole nother world.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
But
And
that was back when Queens, Brooklyn were very working class, common sense. And I don't know, I've heard they got gentrified and it's full of hipsters. I don't know if that's the case.
Yep. That's why the angry prepper stays out there. He's him and the hipsters, they don't get along very well. So what are some things that you have been prepping with everything going on over in Europe? Is there anything that you started stepping your game up on?
Couple of things, actually. It's funny you mentioned that. So I finally bit the bullet and bought the baby Jackery, and I got the solar panels to go with it. I hadn't found a generator I really like that'll fit the purposes up here, but having at least a way to charge phones, a few flashlights, a few other devices, especially after the Texas freeze, that kind of made me realize, because Harvey was our sixth hurricane as a family, and so we kind of had the hurricane thing down, but those were always regional outages. And when the whole grid froze up, obviously that was an act of God, but it made you think, well, if someone actually figured out how to knock this shit offline, that would be a
Yeah, real big
trash.
trouble. Real big trouble.
Also, dry food. I started upping the food a little more. There are only two of us here at the house. It's just me and Sassy. The kids are grown, like I'd mentioned to you before, but it wouldn't surprise me, like, one lives down on the coast, one lives in Austin. If one said, hey, we may need to come to you, something's happened. So I kind of prep with a +1, +2 mentality.
Right.
But definitely the foods, medicine stuff. I had a little bit left over in the FSA last year. So at the end of the year, we went and bought, they gave us a list of over-the-counter meds that are FSA eligible.
Right.
And I already put the money into the fund. Because I lose the money. So I was like, screw it. We just bought a shit ton of Advils. And
Perfect, man. Perfect. Anything you can get your hands on at this point is a leg up, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
so,
more perishables. No, more perishables. The foods, the meds, stuff like that.
Yep. That's a big thing. A lot of people have been stepping up the long-term food stores.
Mm-hmm.
I've been trying to twist my wife's arm into getting chickens, man, in the worst way. We don't have much property, but just enough to probably put a coop up and raise some laying chickens.
Right.
But I gotta coax her along. So
what about a greenhouse, man? I don't know what your property looks like.
I'm very hilly, so I'm more of a terrace garden kind of thing. I could build some cold frames. But it's if I had my way, I'd till the whole yard and plant everything. But everybody likes grass, so I'm not allowed to yet.
No, and that's one of my struggles. Again, the reloads. There's already talk. Oh well, in a couple of years you'll need to go, I don't know, to Dallas or go back to Houston or whatever. And so I want to do stuff to be ready, but at the same time, I don't want to do something that'll make it hard to sell the house, because not everyone may like the raised garden if I put one in. A lot of people might now.
Yeah, you never know. That was something big that I saw when
breaking news, your wife is back.
Uh-oh. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-oh. Sorry, babe. Hey, Billy said we could keep the chickens at his house, so something to keep in mind, honey. Thanks for watching, babe.
You'll be in trouble later. Mike, talk to my wife.
That's okay. That's okay. She usually lumps me up while I'm sleeping, so I just wake up with bruises. It's fine.
That's so bad.
Oh man. Let the man have chicken, says the outlaw Jackson.
Let the man have chicken.
Let the man.
They got nuggets at the store for that.
That's right. What do you need chickens for?
Your chickens at my house too.
Thank Trout Slayer. Those are a bit far away, but had chickens before, getting more soon. That's awesome, Blue Ridge Prepper.
Yeah, and that I'd love to get chickens. I just don't. I'm in a subdivision, so that's not something I can do yet, but I'm hoping to in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I guess everybody, when you become a prepper, most people's goals modify into where you really want to be a homesteader,
Right.
Because prepping is storing stuff that eventually is going to run out. If things go the way preppers think they'll go. Livingston Man is petitioning for a spam emoji.
Elon Musk, buy YouTube and give us a spam emoji.
There's no spam emoji? I'm going to go see if there's one that looks like spam. No, there's a little doofus.
He's digging.
They have an emoji with a mask.
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's terrible. No, that's an alien shit. That's a space invader.
The birthday cake is as close as it gets to spam.
Yeah. Although you could do the fart emoji, that might,
He feeds his chicken spam.
Farts. I don't know. Yeah. No.
Well, you want to kick up the flavor of your chicken, feed your chicken with spam. That's right.
Feature chicken spam.
Oh,
Man, they
thanks.
got some weird ass emojis here, bro.
I found it. I got
Oh, the spam emojis. There you go.
it.
Yeah.
It's pork and
Oh, Sherry Leach, do you dehydrate? Actually, yeah, Sherry, I do.
pork and ham are different. So, you know.
Good Lord.
According to the spam can, anyway.
Hormel, the Hormel Corporation pork and
Hormel.
spam.
So, by the way, not all spam is spam, Livingston. So I bought, spam, right? And then HEB had potted meat product, and it was a spam can, but it had a different label. And I'm like,
Meat's different.
right. And I'm like, all right, it's kind of looking like spam, but not really. So I went and opened it, and it was like pseudo spam. It's like
Oh.
they did spam, but the guy they hired
They
got
did quite
fired
right.
from spam. Yeah. You could saute it, you could fry it and eat it.
It's Outlaw
but-
Jackson's favorite stuff. Like that's the stuff he thrives on. He's like the more like byproducts and just parts of the animal
Yeah.
that we don't use for anything else that are included, the better. Like he just wants to not know what part of the animal this even was.
Oh, no, you
Angry
don't want
Prepper
it.
says, once spam, always spam.
Jason, it's good to see you, boy.
How you doing, buddy?
Hey,
So
Jason,
we
what's
did
going
have
on, man?
we did have a question in the chat
Oh,
for the roaming prepper. Could you scroll up on that for me, Livingston, man, a bit?
We're the moment.
Okay, so the question is from Lady Easton, and she wants to know, how do you see the schools going back to remote if the shortages continue?
how do I see, like, will they go back to remote?
Yeah, if the shortages continue, like no, I'd imagine she's thinking along the lines of
Yeah.
like no school lunches or something like that.
That would be interesting because I don't know about you guys over there. I know some of the school districts here had some trouble acquiring product, and that's scary. I always kind of I tell people, look at the numbers, look at the business side, because it tips you off.
Right.
An ISD, they call them ISDs here, independent school districts, but it's like the New York City Board of Ed, right? It's its
Okay.
own entity. They have purchasing power, right? Because they collect tax from the county, but then they get state funding. And when things like that can't buy food with their millions of dollars of purchase
Yeah,
power,
that's scary.
that's scary to us.
Very.
So it may make sense. Actually, that's a really interesting thought. Is supplies get really low, it kind of takes the responsibility off the school, right? Oh, we don't have to feed you
Yeah.
because your kids are at home.
Yeah, you
But
have to send them with lunch every day.
but it'll have a negative outcome because a lot of parents, I know mine were like that. Me going to school let mom and dad go to work. Like somebody would have had to stay home with me. When I
Exactly.
was before I was like in fifth grade or something, fifth grader, you can survive just fine. But the really little ones, people are going to have to stay at home. So now you've lost workers. And I think that's just going to accelerate other problems if they do that.
I agree. I mean,
Do you have any thoughts on like
Sure.
My voice just sounds like that. Feel good. I wonder like your thoughts on like how parents have gone through school, the typical like government public school running.
Well, that's an interesting point. Livingston Man is saying, what's the difference between the way a public school is run versus the way like a prison or a jail is run? So that throws a whole nother theory into it.
Yeah.
I don't really think they're that much different, are they?
They use the same school buses.
Yeah. Yeah, and some bars on the window.
They paint them
The
different
bars on
colors and they
Just
put
one of
bars
them to
on
get the bars. They don't put kids in the goddamn.
them. All those with some of the kids I went to high school with who were kind of douchey, they probably need bars on those school buses too. Oh man, but think about it. This is a government entity that can't purchase food. I remember in Houston, because Sassy has like a side gig. She does Etsy stuff, right? Like arts and crafts and homecoming. And she would occasionally set up a tent in the elementary school so the teachers could she had to go through the whole vetting process so teachers could buy like t-shirts, whatever. And one day she came home, she's in tears. I'm like, all right, what happened? And she said the backpack buddies. And I'm like, I have no context what she's talking about. I'm like, what the hell's a backpack buddy? So at the end of the school day, they were calling kids. I don't know if they have this in New York. I'm sure they do. They'd make an announcement. All the backpack buddies come to the front, and it was all the kids that they were basically poor. They were impoverished, and they would go to the cafeteria and get a little brown bag of apple sandwiches and stuff, so they'd at least have 2 meals during the weekend.
Right.
And we're already battling kids not eating enough.
Yeah.
And now, I don't know what I mean, they're spending 800 million on the frickin' bills, and
yeah, and take it away from Child and Family Services.
Where does this money come from?
Well, it comes from you and I,
What
the
is all this
taxpayers of
stuff
New
that's
York.
disposable? You know what I mean? Like, you don't invest in the future. Man.
well, exactly. Where does the money come from? That's what some of these politicians don't seem to care, or they don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think some of them are blatantly stupid, like they can't comprehend it.
It almost seems like some of them are intentionally trying to.
Ignorance is not a sin.
Well, they're trying to drive this thing off the rails, it seems.
The problem
Yeah.
being that people who are ignorant, like people are elected based on their persona and not their education on the issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AOC literally
Donald Trump, any
auditioned
of them.
to be in Congress. They held
yeah.
open auditions in New York City, and she was the most likable character, and they put her forward.
We have these things called political action committees that can do this.
Oh,
So people they come together, so they put they pool their resources and they run a person like AOC. Get her elected. She does their bidding. She doesn't particularly do her voters' bidding. She does the bidding of the people that put her in the position. It's not very much different than, I guess, Hollywood.
Yeah. So I think it's
that's
time
exactly
for
what it is.
us to start doing the same thing.
Well, it begs the question.
And we're going to get Angry Prepper elected one way or another.
Absolutely.
Dude, that would be
Jason Charles,
awesome.
2024.
I'm voting all the way.
We said it here. Jason,
Right.
if you want to respond to our
Write-in ballot.
Man, I'll tell you what, people, even if he didn't win, the commotion that would cause would be awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you'd have news
gotta
people
happen.
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, you
I
thought
vote
Trump
angry.
mixed things up. Put Angry Prepper in the New York State Assembly. That's what I'm talking
vote
about.
Angry Prepper for president 2024 or at some point.
Yeah, you got to write his name in somewhere.
Let's just keep it real simple. Angry Prepper for president, press 1 in the chat.
That's right.
Next time we have the county elections, I should write in the Angry Prepper and just see if it shows up in the news. We had one write-in vote, the Angry Prepper. Nobody knows who the hell that is. They might actually know. There are a bunch of Texans follow him. So
That's true. That's true. Like, hey, I know that guy.
I'm going to stand here right now and pledge whatever Angry Prepper needs from me to successfully run his bid for president if he's willing to take up the management.
That's right.
Anybody else?
That's right. Old Mutt says Angry Prepper for president. He's
One in
with
the
it.
comments, keep it going, talk
That's
about it
right.
with your friends.
That's right. Press 1.
spam for everyone.
Actually, what I understand, the Angry Prepper is not a big fan of spam, but I wonder if, since I put him in office, if
you could bestow the spam upon the Livingston man.
Well, if
At
he
least
gets
that's me, I
hecklers, you
can sell
just
it
hit
to
him
the
with the
rest of you.
spam, But so, question for you guys:
As we always do.
how's the crime been up there in the city?
Well, the city
it
is one
settled
thing. I'm about 2 hours north. I hate it.
We're gonna have to make some concessions. You
Oh,
have to work with at least the small minority within your constituency. And some
telling
of
you.
us out here religious about it.
Oh God!
man.
I just saw.
back
I hate it.
So we're about 2 hours north of New York City here.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, it's not as bad as you would think it would be. But there are the burglaries.
It's like drug crime.
Yeah, they're cutting out people's catalytic converters.
Okay, you guys are having that nonsense too.
Yeah, it's really a crime of the dollar not being worth as much, in my opinion, is that,
Yeah.
people just don't have the money anymore and they've resorted to stealing and robbery for it at this point. And thankfully, there has been some shootings, there has been some stabbings up here, but it's not as bad as it gets down in the city, thankfully, and not yet. But drug problems are an epidemic everywhere. There's no community that's untouched
Now, are
from
you
that.
guys seeing more meth or heroin problems?
It seems to be the dope fiends up here. There's heroin for sure.
Fentanyl and everything.
Yeah,
You guys
they're
gotta load
literally
everything.
lacing. Yeah, they're lacing people's pot with fentanyl up here.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we get bulletins occasionally.
This isn't even funny. This is for real. I have lost. I'm gonna just shoot off the top of my head. I've lost 10 friends to opiates in my life. Real
Really?
shit. No joke.
Yep, it's
Now, was
terrible.
it opiates direct, or they were taking something
Fentanyl,
else and it got late?
opiates, the life, whatever you want to call it. But it's what there is to do up here.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
If you ain't like well off, or you're not like a working man, got your head on your shoulders, and everybody's been through it. Myself included, like everybody, if you didn't survive, like you've still been there. Where it's out here.
Yeah, and that's another side effect of all those businesses leaving.
Yeah. Where you can't make a living, people get
Yeah.
depressed.
Oh, you're
It's
going
like,
to jail? I'm not hiring you.
Exactly. And the snowball effect. One little thing leads to many big hurdles down the road. And a lot of the times these politicians never see it coming. And then you get places
they don't
like
think that far ahead.
Gloversville and things like that, where you drive through and the old beech nut factory's crumbling. The smokestack's ready to fall
It's got
down.
a historic sign out in front of it. They try to treat it like it's not a ruin or something that could be better.
Yep. There, he
That's
works near
funny.
Canal Street. He says it's a mess, homeless all over. It seems like stabbings in the subway every other day. It's terrible, man. New Yorkers are moving to upstate by the thousands. Building boom. I agree with that, old mutt. It's definitely happened because I am as busy as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest.
I don't want to exactly welcome refugees from the city to my neck of the woods, but what I would say is I wish that when you're in Rome, you would do as the Romans do. And
Right.
impose your way upon us. We're not like you. We hold the door for you. We say thank you. We smile. And we mean it. We're like, hey, man, what's up? Like, you're from my town. You guys aren't like that. I don't mean like you. I'm just, I'm
Yeah. I figured what you were
We're
saying.
not like you, and you're not from here to us. And so it would be much better for public relations if people from the city wouldn't go out of their way to live up to the city stereotype.
And it's sad because even down, my daughter's fiance is actually a kid from New York City, and the other day he said people are really nice here. He said now he gets embarrassed because he forgets to say thank you because it wasn't something you did.
Yeah.
And then he'd go, oh, and he'll open the door and go, thank you to the persons that's way over there. I'm like, that. Yeah, don't do that. That's just
like
weird.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, now they'll think you're weird. Don't do that. But
it's driving. Well, if you can even find a home, the home prices up here have skyrocketed. If you can find one.
Are you guys having the crazy bidding wars for property up there too?
Absolutely. It's unbelievable. They're selling hovels for fucking $500,000. It's crazy.
Yeah.
An average person will not, at this present rate,
you can't afford it.
Nope.
No.
It's as if the system is like designed that way at this point. If it's not, I have a hard time believing it. like big, huge money is happening, and if you don't have it, you don't.
Yeah. So the next,
So dumb.
the one thing that I know of that's coming to us locally is the Durst Corporation out of New York City.
Right.
They bought up the old Carvel ice cream cake guy. He used to have a big golf course up here.
Yeah.
And
I
so
remember that.
they closed the golf course. The golf course has been closed for 15 years now, maybe even more than that. And they are going to develop it into basically a new town between two other small towns, Red Hook and Pine Plains. So they're going to build a whole new community there, basically a new
Wow.
exit off the Taconic Parkway. And it's they're all going to be high dollar homes for folks coming up out of the city.
Right.
You know,
But what's going to happen to the local folks?
you will get priced out of everything.
Yeah.
You will get priced out of everything. My friend told me the other day that the Hudson Valley will be the new Soho because so many people have left the city.
I believe it.
You know, if I walk around with my contractor shirt on, I get stopped all the time, and people are like, "Oh, hey, I just moved up from the city. I'm an interior designer," and I'm like, "Oh, it's nice to meet you." You know,
If the citizens of New York, especially the big landowners, especially like large farms, 100 acres or more, if they're not
Yeah.
careful about how they parcel out, talking to you, large landowners, how dare you show up in our 37-person live stream? If you're here and listen to this, or if you ever hear this, Walmart, all these big box stores are all looking, they see your fields, and all they see is parking lots and big box.
Yeah.
Trailer parks, housing developments.
Yep.
Farms, as we know them, the farmers are fading away. They're retiring. They're
Oh, yeah.
dying. They're becoming disabled. They got nobody to leave the quote unquote family farm to.
Right.
And so all the uneducated, they send the kids off to college, to do the right thing and stuff, but these kids don't know how to farm. So when
No.
grandpa kicks the bucket and they got $1.5 million farm on their head, they sell it to
whoever wants it.
developers.
Whoever
Yeah.
wants.
And so you used to be able to make food, now they got some parking lot with some housing. And it's going to happen more and more people aren't careful with what they do with their land holdings now.
And what we're seeing here, we saw in Houston, because Houston had quite a few homes, has a really good housing market, was there were a bunch of foreclosures back in 08 with the housing bust. And then 2015, oil took a tank, and that hurt Texas in general. And then we had the Rona. And corporations bought up the foreclosures.
Yeah.
And they're not putting them back on the market. Like, they're not flipping them, which is what like I would do. Hypothetically, if I could get a loan, I'd buy 3 houses, have some
Yep.
guys come in, fix them up to where you can sell them, and boom, send them out. No, they're keeping them as rentals, and they're taking the affordable homes off the market and
Yeah.
turning them into rentals. But now the new homeowners have no home. There's no house they can buy in their price range. So it's I like that. Farms. I'll get it from the store. Thank you. Yeah, it's I can't understand how New York's functioning like that.
Yeah, it's really it's
It's as if globalization like zoomed in.
yeah, it really
Yeah.
is.
But you
It's-
think about it, New York City, right? That would be, you'd want places like New York, London to be the epicenter of this new society they're trying to create.
You can say it. It's the new world order.
Yeah.
2.0.
It's the eastern capital of the coastal elites.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Yeah, it's really interesting. We got about 10 minutes left, guys. So if any of you folks in the chat have any questions,
I'm acting a fool in the chat.
especially for the roaming prepper, get him in while you can. Put him in all caps, unless your name is Cherokee Survival, and then I want you to put it in lowercase.
I'm bowing out. So you're
I love Cherokee, but he is the master of all caps text in the
hit
chat.
me with your caps. Come on now.
Oh man.
I had a question actually.
Okay.
Like,
Sure.
just to reiterate, like again, like the roaming prepper, like I got this vision from him of like this guy's like he's out there like a field reporter for prepping kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
can we just recap? Like, what's like, you got like, give me three essential like commandments. Give me the Roman prepper three commandments.
Okay, the good commandments. One, do your homework before you leave home. Know where you're going, know the road, and know where you're winding up. I actually was in Argentina, business trip. Uh, Good hotel. I did some homework, right? Good hotel near a big police headquarters, security. I was having, it's a very Italian country, by the way. A lot of Italians moved there after the war. Um, Having a pizza and a stein of beer, great food. And all of a sudden, my cell phone texts and it's corporate saying to all employees in Argentina, there's a riot at such and such location between workers and the police. And all of a sudden, all the cops that were just kind of milling about start hauling ass to my left. And it turned out the riot was literally about a half a kilometer. So, what, like 4 blocks
Oh man.
away? Full blown fight. And I could hear it. And I thought it was like a parade. Like I hadn't, so I didn't do enough homework. I didn't know what was going on in the city at that time. So, do your homework before you go anywhere. Um, Two, make sure you have a way to survive for a bit if you get stuck. I actually travel aside with American cash. I trade my currency if I go overseas, say Argentina again. I'll trade for euros. I'll trade for the pesos in Argentina, euros in Europe, stateside. I'll do it through my bank. I pay less, but when I show up at the other side, I'm not showing American greenbacks.
Yeah.
I can show the local currency. That way, because you start showing American dollars, and everybody
Yeah.
dresses differently.
You're a target. You're a target
I'm gonna
instantly.
stand out. So
Yep.
I show up. I'll keep the like the Argentinian currency in here, so I don't even have to take my wallet out. I get
Yeah.
held up. I hand them the money, and oh, I left my wallet in my luggage, and off they go. So to make sure you have the means, some cash, extra clothes in your carry-on, even if you check your luggage, make sure you have enough to get by. And if you're on the road, make sure someone else knows where you are. Like
Very
before I,
important. Ladies especially. I hate to say
yes,
that.
yes. When I take a cab, I actually would take a picture of when they put my bags in, I take a picture of the rear of the vehicle and the driver and the plate, and I'd send it to someone out of country. So I'd send it to my wife and maybe my manager. Hey, this is the cab I'm going to arrive in.
Yeah.
So if I didn't show up at B, they had a picture of the dude and the vehicle I was supposed to be in.
Yep.
And another part of that is check with your local contacts, like my local corporate guys. They'll tell me everything I need to know what to avoid. And then as soon as I get in, unpack my shit, I'm meeting them for a beer and get the lay of the land. So yeah,
Yep.
those are three things I would recommend if you go anywhere, and not necessarily overseas. It could just be to a new city.
Yep. Yep. Great advice, man. Great advice. Um, let's see. In the chat here, we had a question about thoughts on using a hand truck versus carrying a heavy pack.
I had answered that, but let's hear what you got.
For travel or for bugging out?
I think that's more of a bug out scenario.
Ooh,
Now I have seen a few folks, and carts have been used
Sort
for
of rickshaw type of thing.
well,
Okay.
kind of, but
In an urban situation, okay, I'll feel it.
yeah, but carts have been used to carry things great distances for thousands and thousands of years.
I guess that question depends on what your cart looks like. For instance, if you look at 511 has a deployment bag, it's basically a big long luggage on steroids, but you can
Right.
pull the handle out and use it as a cart, and you can put all your shit in there and
Yeah.
plus your pack, and you've got a lot of cubic inches of cargo space. But you're not carrying it all. You're rolling the other one behind you. And it has a handle so you can tote it like a suitcase if you need to. Honestly, I've seen it go both ways. I've seen during the hurricanes, people got stuck in their apartments and they came down with the big, the Tupperware with the big wheels is kind of
Oh
used
yeah.
for work sites.
Yep.
and they had all their shit in there, and they did fine. But you have to account for the fact that you have this monstrosity following you, but it beats the shopping cart.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Then all of a sudden you're in the room.
yeah.
I think it's not a bad idea, from
No.
my kind of perspective where I'm at, maybe more of something with larger inflatable wheels.
Yeah.
Because the undulation in the ground around here in the Hudson Valley is not very nice. So I'd need something that I could control and not overload it too awful much. Maybe like a modified deer cart would work pretty well.
Yeah.
But that's a great line of thinking. Great line of thinking.
And actually, Awkward Texan points out, depends on terrain. You got to account for your local environment.
Exactly.
You have 3 inches, a foot of snow or sand.
I'm better off with a sled at that point.
Yeah.
And another thing is those things you're going to use them for a point in time, and then they're going to be useless. So you're going to have to stash that thing, kind of camouflage it, and hope that you can come back to it. I mean, the cart isn't much good if you have to ford a river or something like that.
Right.
So,
She can make it work.
correct. That's why a sled is pretty awesome too.
So prepping and survival is very, very personal. You can go to all the lengths you want to do, but make sure that it fits into basic situation. Like, there are so many rabbit holes, and you can go so far with your kids. But you can very easily end up with a lot of stuff that you virtually will never use.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, at the Preparedness, have a great night. Thanks so much for stopping in.
Wonderful
Hey,
to meet you.
thanks. But it does go to when you ask for the 3, Livingston, you ask for the 3 recommended rules. One of them, know where you're going and your homework. If you're in an environment where a wheeled cart doesn't make sense, then you probably have to rethink. Or you get those big radio flyers with those massive wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
The
they
beach
sell
bucket.
at Lowe's.
Man, those things are awesome.
That'll go anywhere.
That's right.
And then you can fold it up and stash your shit if you have to.
Exactly.
My problem, you end up looking like a refugee, and I feel like you just make yourself a target.
Sometimes.
That's a good point.
The trick is to look like a hard target. You don't want to look like a soft one. So.
Well, and that's a good point. Know, like I said earlier, know where you're going to wind up, because if you're leaving A to go to B and you have a destination in mind, then you're a migrant or a traveler, if you will.
Yeah.
If you show up and you have no idea what to do with yourself, you're now a refugee, you're an evacuee. And the whole game changes going from a relocating person to an evacuee.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's something I've said often, is that if you're bugging out without a place to go, you're not a survivalist, you are a refugee.
That's exactly it.
So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Sherry, thank you so much for the reminder. Angry is on in 2 minutes.
Jason Charles for president, everybody.
All right.
In the chat.
Press 1 for Angry Prepper as
So
president.
should we all go to his
24.
chat and put "angry for president" over and over?
That's right. Angry for president. It's going to get blown up in his chat in two whole minutes. Old Mutt did want me to remind everybody that April 23rd and 24th, we will be hosting a bug out bag weekend here in upstate New York.
If you meet us in person.
Yeah, you can come meet us in person. The Angry Prepper is going to be there. Use it as a mock bug out, guys. Grab your shit, jump in your car on Saturday morning, and
upstate,
whatever scenario you want to put in your head just happened. But I have a safe place for you to go. I've got some property you can crash out on, and we're all going to get together there on Saturday morning. And
with a Facebook group and everything.
Well, no, but we are on Facebook, Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. I know you can also find the Roaming Prepper on Facebook also, because I tagged him in some stuff and it was cool. You can find the Roaming Prepper on Instagram as well, and absolutely on his YouTube channel, which is fantastic. And I don't know why he doesn't have 25,000 subscribers already, but he's on his way.
On TikTok, I have a massive following, and I still don't know how I did it. Like, I have no
Excellent.
clue.
Excellent. I forgot you were on TikTok too.
Yep.
The Roaming Prepper is everywhere because he's roaming. See, that's how you get there.
20-second warning.
All right. So, guys, I want to thank you so much, Pete, for coming on
Yeah,
tonight.
thank
Very
you,
much a
brother.
pleasure.
I
Gentlemen,
really appreciate you.
Appreciate
I
it.
want to thank everybody for being here. This is the roaming prepper. This is Hudson Valley Prepping and Survival. We will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much for stopping in, everybody. Have a great night.
you guys be safe.
Love you.
Take care, Pete.
All
Thank
right.
you.